Ooh, there I is. Do I look all right? Do I look weird? I mean, I know I look weird, but I feel like my white balance is all messed up tonight. For some reason, I was just fiddling around with it. I feel like I look very red. I was out in the sun a little bit, but it's like driving me nuts that I look red. Everything else is looking okay. I have it usually color temperature set, which is fine. But this is going to bug me, but I won't look at myself. But hey, everybody, thanks for stopping by tonight. You hear some noise. We just had these thunderstorms that are still just like in the area. So if you hear loud rumbling noises, April thunderstorms were just happening, and it was a bit of a surprise. So it's a good day. Hope everybody had a nice weekend, and welcome back to the show. Tonight we're going to be answering again a few questions regarding OnlyFans accounts. And your first time here, my name is Michael. I'm a women's photographer from New Jersey. I've been in photographing women boudoir photography professionally for the past 15, 16 years or so. Long time, too long. And over the past 5 or 6 years, I guess I started to run into some women who started telling me what they were using their photos for, and they started talking about OnlyFans. I was like, what does that mean? So through the course of, I have worked with dozens and dozens of women coming in for OnlyFans accounts over the past few years, learned a lot about it, worked with very small accounts, new people just getting started, everything up to women literally having tens and tens of thousands of subscribers on their account, and sort of everything in between. So I've kind of learned a lot about how that platform works, the kind of material that works well on there, and a bunch of other stuff I never really thought I'd know about, but here we are. And so what would tend to happen is I'd be working with some women, and they would be asking me questions about, how do I do this, or how do I do that, and then I would just happen to know, because I was just working with this woman a month or two ago, and she said X, Y, and Z, and so I somehow became this resource of OnlyFans information. Not probably a likely dude that would know a lot about this, but here it is. And so after answering these questions for quite a while, I started to do a little bit of a live show, and here we are. So hopefully this can help you out a little bit. Thanks for taking your time to watch this. It's been fun to do. And someone today, we should try some giveaways or something like that during your show, and that's like a good idea. Right now, there aren't like tons and tons of people that watch this live. There's only a handful. It's a small show, so there's only a handful that watch it live during the course of the show. A majority of the people are watching this afterwards. So the show has to grow a little bit more, but there was some good ideas, which I'm cool with, giving away free banners and stuff like that, creating banners for people. They stick around and watch the show live. So that's fine. We'll get into something like that as there's more people that get on and watch the show live. We'll see how it develops. So thanks for the suggestion. So I've got another couple of questions in here tonight that we're going to go through. Remember, this is just my opinion, but hopefully there's some information in here that can help newer people getting started on their accounts as always. So let's see when we got started. Oh, that's me. I didn't put up my own name, but getting into our first question here tonight. And this is something that is a fairly common question, again, with people just getting started and working on their accounts. And it's, they hear about doing shout outs on other people's accounts, and how effective is this really? And are there rules I should follow? And then I'm sure you're aware, we talk about this all the time, how OnlyFans just does not promote your account. There's no search. There's no way people on that platform can find you, unlike Instagram, where there's a search bar and you can search by topic and stuff like that, or name and find somebody. Or OnlyFans has no search function. So people how do people find me? You are the way that people find you. You really have to promote and market your own account, drive people to your site. And so one of the ways that people came up with, it's not unique to OnlyFans, this happens on other websites as well, but sort of on your page you would say, hey, go visit my friend so and so on her page, and you would put a link to the other person's page, visit this account, and then on your account, you would do the same thing for that other account. And then some percentage of people may see that and say, wow, this is an account that may look interesting to me, and click over to your page and hopefully subscribe. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. I mean, if you're newer accounts, it's actually good. If you know somebody, have a friend or something that's doing that, that can help you out. And it's a short-term thing. It scrolls down the feed and you get that, return for a day or two. And then, that scrolls off the bottom and people never see it again. But usually if you're newer, I wouldn't expect if it's a friend, they may help you. But usually people who are running very large accounts, and you have 10 subscribers or 5 subscribers, you're brand new, there's not a lot of value in that for them, for you to be promoting them on their account. Meanwhile, if they have a lot of subscribers, you may get a lot of value because there are many more people seeing you. So usually people who are going to agree to do that are going to be similar size accounts, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. I don't know if there's any rules that you need to be aware of. If you ask somebody and they're like, hey, yeah, I don't think it violates any kind of the terms to do that. Just talking about and shouting out to other people's accounts. So it's worth doing. It's a good plan, good way to get yourself started. But primarily when your account is new, most of your people are going to be coming through your Instagram or TikTok or Twitter, but there's no harm in going through and doing shout outs for other accounts. So good question. Thanks for sending that in, and hopefully that was helpful. And next question here, is there a smart way to handle content leaks, or is this something I have to accept that just may happen? And yeah, this is actually a real discussion that a lot of people don't understand. They think because OnlyFans is kind of this closed environment that what they post there is going to stay there. And I think what you really have to come to terms with, on the internet, is that you post something on your OnlyFans account, it's like the toothpaste is out of the tube. Not going to say it's going to happen, but it can happen. Screenshotting, people getting your photos, your videos and stuff like that, and resharing them and reposting them. So you have to always keep that in mind, that that's a possibility. And as your account grows, surely that's going to happen. You can't have any false sense of privacy, that there's some walled garden there, that somehow that content is on your page and it's never going to leave the page. So you always have to say, don't post anything that you don't want to get out anywhere else, because always operate under that mentality that it can happen, and it will happen. Now, there are things that you can do, and I'm trying to bring up my notes here. There are some services that go and like hunt down if you find your content anywhere else. I'm trying to find the name of this. They will send takedowns and stuff like that if your material gets on other sites. This site is called Rolta, www.rolta.com, RULTA. I don't know if I could bring this up on here or not, but they're a service. I'm sure it's a paid service. I don't know. I don't get anything out of this. It's just a website I know that, see if I can open it up in here, that, goes and, see if I can bring this up, that takes that content and theoretically takes it down for you. So this website here, Protect Your Content, and they work with you can see some sites on there, and they go and theoretically find, I guess you find something where they search. I don't have an account on this. I don't know anything about this, but I know this is one service that I've heard of that is an option for sending takedowns to some material that may escape, and they may have some means to do it. Now, I think you have to keep in mind with something like that is that it's not worldwide. Trust me, if your material's on a server in China or somewhere and it ain't coming down, it's, or South America and some places, these do not, they're like, yeah, right, come and get me. So I think there's probably a limited set of places that this works or is effective on. I know another website that I use personally for my own is Pixie. Pixie's been around for a long time, and they too, just bring up their website quick. It was more meant for photographers, this Pixie website. And what they do is you create an account, you sort of register your material, and then you get a notification if that material winds up somewhere else. You say, hey, we found your material on this website or this site. They again will go ahead and issue takedowns. I think they're more towards commercial photography than using something like with OnlyFans. You know, they're trying to recover money from commercial use of photos that, you know, people steal your pictures all the time online. But Pixie, maybe something, I know they have a free version of that, maybe something worth taking a look at. But I think that Rolta seems like it may be more designed for, you know, OnlyFans type of user. So those are a couple ways that you can go about hopefully managing your content online. But you always have to keep in mind that, you know, it's going to get out there. It's just going to happen. And there's not too much you can do about it in the world of the internet. So yes, generally you just have to accept, like in your question says, that it might happen. Onward to the next question. Is there a must-do list for newbies on OnlyFans? What are the first big no-nos I should avoid? So this was an interesting question. And you know, what I started to do was, yeah, there's definitely a few things you should, when you're getting going, that you should go ahead and do. And I was going to put together like a quick slide to show some basic things. And then I came across a post that somebody made on Reddit that was super highly detailed. Someone took a lot of time in creating this post, and they listed all the steps. And I had already written some of these things down anyway, but I filled in some of that information from that Reddit post. So I'll go over that. A few very basic common sense things that you probably already know. Maybe there's a thing in here that you weren't aware of. Let me stop my screen share. And my poor allergy voice again by this time of the day is shot. But a couple of things about getting started is, of course, when you want to get going, first thing you have to do is go and get verified. And that takes sometimes a while, and sometimes it doesn't go through the first time, and it's not the smoothest of things. It could take a week or so just to get through. And after that, you know, getting all your banking information set up in there. In case you don't know, they have to go through a whole verification process to confirm your identity and so forth when you're creating your account. So that can take a while. So usually the first thing you're going to be doing is verifying your account. And then while that's happening, you know, there is some preparation that can be done on your part. That takes a little bit of work, and that is starting to get your profile pictures and your banners together. You know, the profile or the banner pictures on OnlyFans are very weird, boxy dimensions. It's hard to get a real good photo to fit in there. So it takes some experimentation to get that right, but that's super, super important because that's what somebody's going to see. And likewise, your profile picture is a little easier to navigate and deal with, getting your profile pictures that you want to use, deciding how you're going to run your account, whether it's going to be a free account or a paid account. You know, and there are pluses and minuses to both of those. Now it's really trending towards free accounts. You know, that's another whole question why, you know, paid accounts are probably becoming fewer and fewer on there. Another thing when you're getting going is you may, for the first short while, hide all the statistics on your page. You know, if you're a free account, it doesn't really matter too much. People are going to join because it's free. But when your account is new, in case you don't know, like on the top of your page, it may show like how many likes you have and how many pictures you've posted and a few basic stats about your page before someone subscribes, they can see. So if your page is new, you could have like one picture and one like, and just somebody who stumbles across your page and sees it, I don't want one like on this page, I'm not checking this out, it's not worth going in here. So I know sometimes people that are newer, they hide all that information until you get going. And once you get a few thousand likes or whatever, you could put that on. Again, that's sort of confirmation for people who see you. Wow, look at this, all the likes on this and all the material that has been posted. It just reinforces people to click that subscribe button on your account. So at first, sometimes people hide those stats just to, hide the newness of their account sort of a little bit. And then also another thing that you could do during that period is prepare your bio, which is basically telling your people who come across your page what they're going to find in there, a little bit about you, what you're doing on there. And it's a few sentences of information that you can use to entice people to click and to subscribe on there. So those are some things that you can do during that preparation stage as well. And then also learn the rules. Like OnlyFans has a lot of rules, and we were talking about some of this stuff a couple weeks ago, asking if you could take crypto payments through there. People are trying to get around putting all the money through OnlyFans, so they don't, because they take a cut of everything. That's a breach of their terms of service. There's a lot of rules, a lot of things you could say or show or do or not do. So it's worth looking, as boring as it may be. You're like, oh my God, do I really have to read this? But yeah, you should take a look through of that. Because there could be something in there that you thought, oh, I thought this is cool and this is what I was going to do. And it turns out it's against their rules. And the last thing you want is to have your account restricted or have some kind of violation on your account when you're just getting started and gone through all that work. So I take a quick look through those terms of service, learn what you do, what you can't do, because some of it's obvious, but some of it isn't really very obvious. So it's important to know. And then also, if you are creating alternative Instagram accounts or TikTok account, whether they're main, because sometimes people have a main Instagram account that's them and they're doing their OnlyFans. It's a bit private. They don't want to funnel people from their main Instagram account because they may not want friends or family members or whatever to know what's going on. So they'll create an alternate account. So that's something, you really need to get rolling earlier, to build up some pictures and some photos in there, and then get a lot of photos in that new account. Because again, if someone comes across that and 2 likes and 6 photos, it's easier once those accounts are bigger. So if you're going to be doing this and you want to go with an alternate account, get that going, get some material on there, and start developing the accounts you're going to use to funnel your people to your OnlyFans account. And then finally, one thing that you can do when you're getting started too is just start creating the content. There's no harm in creating your content up front, batching stuff and having a bunch of stuff ready to go, and that way you're under a bit less pressure as you're figuring out how everything works, and you have material there for not just your OnlyFans site. Remember, because you're going to have to be posting material on your other Instagram account or TikToks or whatever you're making. So you need a lot of stuff to send out, a lot of material. As we always talk about, the people who succeed are the ones who love producing content. And if that's not you, you will find out really fast. And this is not for you. And then also, another thing I think which is pretty common, most people know though, is that it's really changed a lot on Instagram over the past couple of years, mostly in the last year, really clamped down. I think TikTok is rough as far as, now all those accounts are crawled by bots. They're checking every link, they're checking everything. You really can't mention OnlyFans or any other kind of adult website by name on there. You can't really link. It's very risky to link directly from your accounts to your OnlyFans account, your Instagram or TikTok. TikTok, I think, is even worse. Those accounts can get shut down. So you always have to go through like a third party. That's why people use Linktree. And there's probably 10 link services similar to Linktree. They're probably the most popular. I don't know if they've been around the longest, but you can start getting those links if you're using your socials to drive, and then from that link account or the Linktree, you could send them to your OnlyFans account. And avoid mentioning, talking. See, on Instagram now too, it's all AI image recognition bots on there. you can't even post pictures of lingerie anymore on like Instagram, and people go on there and those accounts now get restricted just like that. And your account, it'll get restricted and you won't even know it's restricted. And what happens is you still post, they don't warn you, there's no notification unless you dig deep into your settings to see that your account's restricted. So you'll be posting like normal, but what happens is if your account gets restricted, nobody sees that material. I don't think they even follow you, don't even see it. So it really just shuts that whole account down. So you just really have to post very sort of demure kind of mild content on there. Can't talk about OnlyFans by name or anything of the sort. It all has to be done kind of the wink wink and a nod nod, and you have to use euphemisms like special content or go see, and people will understand what you're talking about. But you have to be they're really cracking down. You have to be a little bit more careful now how you go and promote your sites through those other social platforms. So that's something that you definitely can get going and get started during that period. It is a lot to do. There's no way you could do all that or figure it out in a day or two. It takes a while. There's no rush. Like I said, when your account is new, no one's going. There's no people there. So there's no mad rush that it's going to take off like that unless you have like 240,000 people on your Instagram. But normally, it's a slow go. So you have plenty of time to get in and work through those steps, figure the system out, and you'll figure it out as you go along. But I thought that was a fun list. And what I'll do is down below this, there was that very detailed post I mentioned about I found on Reddit that someone really wrote in. It must have taken a long time. So I'll put a link to that. It was just better than I could ever write. So whoever wrote that was really very helpful, and it talks about everything in there. So on to the next question. So as someone a bit more mature starting on OnlyFans, how can I leverage my life experiences into unique content that resonates with subscribers? And this is a chat I have with people from time to time. Excuse me while I get my beverage. Tonight we're drinking vanilla Coke or vanilla Pepsi. Shouldn't be drinking soda, Mike. Go ahead and tell me. In my little plastic cup. I drink like a 6-year-old girl from a little plastic cup. But this is a conversation I have from time to time with people that come in and work for me. Women will come in and, geez, I'm not your typical OnlyFans person. Do I have a chance? Is it harder or easier for me? And I think we talked about this a bit last week too, and it's one of those tough things to discuss with somebody because, there's what you should say, and what you have to say, and, you have to be careful when you talk to somebody. But the truth of the matter is it gets more difficult as people start to get older. Without a question, it does. And what happens is when you are targeting, men on there, as you start to go the timeline, as you start to get older, you start, in your 20s and mid 20s. And as you go this way, as you are here, younger, you're attracting the whole pool of guys down to that younger age, lower 20s, mid 20s, and as you start to get older and open your account as older, what's going to happen is that pool of guys that is basically younger than you starts to get left behind in most cases. So as you go to mid-20s, you're 30, because those younger guys, that way is real old. I don't care about that. I want people my age, So as you start to go, and if you're in your mid-30s or in your 40s, really what starts happening is your audience of men starts shrinking and shrinking, because usually is you're going to be your age or older. Because it's a harsh thing to say, but when you put two people side by side on there and you have a 23-year-old woman who goes to the gym twice a week and has implants and, blonde hair and cute and big boobs, and then you have a 45-year-old woman who has had a couple of kids and basically has sat on a couch her whole life and doesn't have any muscle tone, and she decides she's going to jump into the OnlyFans game for whatever reason. Hey, go ahead, and you put those two side by side, and ask the people to vote with their certificates of appreciation, also known as dollars, which they're going to spend money on. You know, that 23, 24, 22, 25-year-old guy, 99% of the time is going for the 23-year-old girl. So you start to lose as you're, which doesn't mean it's not possible to grow an account. I know people who have. You just have to start directing your material and your language and adjusting accordingly. I think it's a mistake if you start targeting those people. It's not really your audience. So you have to adjust your content. And yeah, it will, and you will grow an audience, however slower. But these people seem to be more dedicated followers. They're tougher to find, but once they find you, they tend to be a bit more loyal. So just what I always tell people is just be yourself and be genuine. If you are 40 years old, don't try to act and dress anything like a 23-year-old. Although you may feel that way at heart, and I get it, but be genuine, be yourself. And then what I always say is just, if you start to grow a following, ask people, hey guys, what are you interested in seeing me doing? Because I want to, and that's a great way. Just reach out to your audience. And there's polls and stuff like that, or leave comments and, hey, I've been producing this and what do you want me to see? And they will tell you. So it can be done. It just takes longer, I think. You have to target your material a bit more. And it takes a while to grow an account. So you can incorporate your life experiences in there. So you do it. I know people who have done it, but it takes a bit longer for someone to get going. All right. So question number 5. I've heard of creators using OnlyFans for things other than adult content like cooking classes or fitness sessions. Have you seen success in non-traditional niches? Yes, and in case you don't know, that was like the original purpose of that platform. Was like if you were a yoga person and you wanted to sell, your yoga classes, or I know people who were like not like a vegan, but someone who had a healthy lifestyle, but you wanted to have your recipes, and people would go to your OnlyFans and subscribe to your diet page or subscribe to your yoga page, and you can build them a monthly to interact with you. And so that's exactly what that site was for. Cooking, yoga, exercise, personal trainers, and it still works fabulous for that. What happened was, it was sort of overrun by the adult content and hence became known as the adult content place. So, yes, you can use OnlyFans for other purposes, and that's what it was designed for. So 1000%, it's possible to use it for other purposes and grow whatever it is your business, because it's handy for people, like I said, who want to produce short form content and want to pay for it. Like exercise classes, they film themselves, or yoga meditations, and if you build up a following, and they will buy your material, and you can grow an audience that way. So 1000%, that's what it was for. It just turned into something, and probably the people who created it never originally thought that that's what was going to happen, but that's kind of what happened. So yeah, do it. You can succeed in that 1000%. Next question. How important is post-processing photo? We finally got to a photo question. How important is post-processing? I'm not very skilled with photo editing software yet. Yeah, and this is something I think a lot of new creators get really hung up on. Some, others don't. That they feel if you make a picture, you got to subscribe to Photoshop or edit things like crazy. It's not necessary. And, selfies, like when you're out in the store, taking a quick selfie of yourself, that's all you need to do. The way that phones work now with Their automatic settings are so great. There isn't a whole heck of a lot you need to do to change a photo. Now, the only thing maybe, and I've seen people who have been sending me shots because they were, doing some stuff at home, and like, especially if it's at night and you're in a room, it's just poor lighting, and then what happens with lights, like if you have traditional light bulbs in your house, they change, phones can adapt to that, but you may have like LED lights, you may have incandescent lights, you may have all these different type of lights have different kind of colors on them. So one weird thing that happens, I just noted, if people are at home shooting photos of themselves and it's not bright enough, the photos kind of don't look great and you just need to get more lights. And if you start to build a following and have, you can get a return on that, I would say go out and buy an inexpensive set of LED lights. They're really small, battery-powered rechargeable ones. You don't have to get super expensive ones, but they give you a neutral sunlight, kind of a consistent light. And then once the light, so the number one tip I would say, don't worry about the post-processing too much. Just worry about your lighting. You don't need to spend a lot of money. And then whether you have an Android phone or an iPhone, I have one of each, they also have built-in auto editing in there. It's like you just click the button and it automatically adjusts the photo. So if you're using your phone, just use the auto, that's fine. If you're in darkness, just go somewhere there's good lighting, and most of that you don't have to worry about. But unless you're doing a super set of photos that you really want to charge top dollar for and need them picture pro perfect, that's like a different story. But for your just casual photos, most of the time now you don't. It used to be very, very different, but phones now are so good, you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about, like I do for my professional work, sitting at a computer 6 hours a day to get bleary photoshopping pictures. That's another whole thing. There's not really a need to do that, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Just use your phone. Okay, next question. Have you encountered any unique challenges in creating content specifically for OnlyFans, and how did you overcome them? Or you mean just the people I have worked with? Me personally, no. I on my account, I just post these videos and some other. I don't really, because you can't post other people's you can't post other people's content on there. But if you're talking about creators and some unique challenges for them, there are. And the one that comes to mind initially is something with new people that they may not even think of. And I just ran into this with a couple of women a couple weeks ago, and I don't want to get into too explicit detail, but often these two women growing their accounts that I know, they wanted to do more suggestive kind of content. And they quickly learned that they wanted a guy in their material. You could imagine what was going. And of course, you can't have somebody else in your photo without them being tagged, and you know how that works. So there are women I know who've been trying to do some kind of content like that, which becomes very difficult if you want to do it with like a male partner. You think it's tough getting women on. You're trying to get some guy to sign a release or go, it's tough. So I know there are women who want to create content with a man and struggle with that because they find it very difficult to find somebody that will sign up and go through that whole process or sign the release. So they really struggle, and that's something that I guess their followers ask, or that they just, that's the type of stuff they wanted to make. And just finding, there aren't too many men on that site. I think, I don't know what the percentage is, but it's very, very, very few who would be a collaborator in that kind of a situation. So there are some followers. I think that's one thing that comes to my mind that can be a challenge as a creator. And that's not the case for everybody. A lot of people just want to post their own lingerie stuff and stuff like that. But there is a portion of people who create who want somebody else in their photo, and they don't know anybody in their area, have a friend that's on, whether it's male or female. So there are challenges sometimes in finding somebody else that will, identify themselves to go and do that kind of content. And then I think the other challenge is that kind of what we've been talking about before, people just, getting used to the amount of material that they have to create, and it becomes sort of like a job, and they're just taking pictures. And what happens is it's like you realize, boy, this is like you're doing the same pictures over and over again, and it really just turns into any other kind of work. The uniqueness sort of wears away. There's only so many ways you could lay on your bed and take a picture. There's only so many ways you could stand by your wall and do a picture. And they're like, boy, I just kind of get bored of doing the same picture over and over and over again. So, the other challenge is people always trying to find a new way to kind of create content to keep their viewers interested. And I wouldn't let that drive you crazy to a certain degree, because in one sense, it doesn't matter. Guys are very simple-minded, and you could if you look cute and you're standing by you could take that same photo in different outfits like 100 times, and they're not going to care too much. I think it's more that the women worry about that more than the guys do, but I do understand the challenge of wanting to do new photos and new ways. I'm going to go in the kitchen, and we'll go in the hallway, then we'll go in the, and they start to run out of ideas, and after a while, like, I've done this, I want to do something else. But that's where it turns into a job. It turns into something that is work, and you do not have to reinvent the wheel every time you go and take a photo, or it's fine to do that same photo over and over again and just spread them out over time, because your user base is constantly churning over anyway. And then it's a big thing I tell people to recycle their material, and a lot of the women that I work with, I said, well, you have stuff from 6 months ago, you had a smaller, now you have a whole, you've tripled the size of your audience from then. Just resend it out, reuse that stuff. Oh, I never thought about that, so reuse that content, and, you get a better return on it. And hey, maybe if you sold it for 20 bucks, maybe this time you just sell it for 10. You got to get some mileage out of it, but reuse it. And that's everything I had for tonight. So I want to appreciate everybody for stopping by, watching this afterwards, or the people that were popping on. I saw tonight watching the show, had a handful of people watching, so I'm grateful. Hopefully you learned something. And if you have any questions, like I said, always leave them below these videos. I get quite a few questions on my own OnlyFans account, or people contact me through my website. So any questions you'd like to have for an upcoming episode, leave them down below. Reach out to me on one of those other platforms. And thanks, everybody. And I will see you next week as soon as I can stop the music. Thanks. Bye.